You remember your first kiss perfectly, the weather, the song playing somewhere in the background, the exact words you said. You'd swear to it in court, hand on a Bible, without a flicker of doubt. But here's the strange part. Chances are, at least one detail is wrong, maybe more than one, and you have no way of knowing which. You probably think memory works like a recording. Something happens, your brain files it away, and later you press play and watch it back exactly as it occurred. A little grainy, maybe, a little faded at the edges, but fundamentally the same footage, stored once and replayed forever. That feels true. It feels obvious. It's how memory is described in almost every movie, every courtroom drama, every casual conversation about the past. But the real answer is far stranger. Your memory isn't a recording at all. It's a reconstruction. Every single time you remember something, your brain isn't retrieving a fixed file from some dusty mental archive. It's rebuilding the memory from scratch, on the spot, using whatever pieces happen to be lying around at that moment. And every time it rebuilds, it can rebuild it slightly wrong. Think about what that means. The memory you have right now of your first kiss isn't the original event. It never was. It's the last version you reconstructed, and the version before that, and the version before that, stretching all the way back to the moment itself. Each retelling, each remembering, is a copy of a copy of a copy. And copies drift. Slowly, invisibly, they drift. Here's where the science gets uncomfortable. Researchers studying memory at New York University have shown that when you recall a memory, the neural trace of that memory doesn't stay locked and stable while you think about it. It actually becomes temporarily unstable, chemically malleable, before your brain restores it. This process is called reconsolidation. During that narrow window, new information can slip in. A stray comment from a friend. A photograph that doesn't quite match what you remember. Even your own imagination, wandering while you tell the story out loud. Any of it can get absorbed and sealed back into the memory, as if it had always belonged there. You are, quite literally, capable of editing your own past every single time you think about it. And you'll never feel the edit happening. There's no warning light. No little asterisk that appears next to the parts your brain quietly changed. This isn't a flaw that only affects some people, the forgetful, the distracted, the elderly. It happens to everyone, constantly, without exception, including you, right now, reading this. Researchers who study eyewitness testimony have run experiments where people watch a filmed event, like a car crash, and are later asked questions using slightly different wording. Ask someone how fast the cars were going when they smashed into each other, and they'll estimate a noticeably higher speed than someone asked how fast the cars were going when they contacted each other. Ask that same person a week later whether they saw broken glass at the scene, and a significant number will say yes. Confidently, vividly, even when there was no broken glass at all. The wording of a single question became a false memory. Not a lie, not a guess they secretly knew was wrong. A genuine, felt memory of glass that was never there, stored with the same emotional weight as everything else they actually witnessed. And this doesn't only happen with small, forgettable details. It happens with the memories people are most certain they'll never lose. Researchers tracking how people remembered hearing major breaking news, the kind of moment that feels burned in forever, found something unsettling. When they compared people's accounts recorded within a day of the event to accounts from the same people a year later, large portions of the details had changed, sometimes completely. The location, the people they were with, the order things happened. What almost never changed was how confident people were. Many participants insisted their year-later version was the accurate one, even when shown their own handwriting from the day it happened, contradicting them. The memory had rewritten itself and taken their certainty along for the ride. Why would evolution build a memory system this unreliable? Here's the twist. It isn't unreliable by accident. It's unreliable by design. A brain that stored every memory as a perfect, unchangeable recording would need enormous space, more than any skull could hold. And worse, it would be almost useless for the one thing memory actually evolved to do. Memory didn't evolve so you could win an argument about who broke the lamp. It evolved to help you predict the future. Your ancestors didn't need a flawless transcript of the exact leaf pattern on the tree where a predator once hid, the precise angle of sunlight, the specific bird call in the background. They needed a flexible, generalizable sense of danger that could come from behind foliage anywhere, on any day, in any forest that looked roughly similar. Memory that bends, blends, and updates with new experience isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. It let your ancestors apply old lessons to new, slightly different situations, over and over, fast, without needing to relearn the world from scratch every single time. Studies of the hippocampus, the brain region most responsible for forming new memories, support this picture. Rather than acting like a filing cabinet with neatly labeled folders, the hippocampus appears to actively reconstruct memories using fragments scattered across many different regions of the brain, stitching them together in real time with your current context, your current mood, your current expectations of what probably happened. Your memory of yesterday's lunch is partly built from the actual event, and partly built from every lunch you've ever eaten, every kitchen you've ever stood in, every mundane Tuesday your brain has quietly filed under roughly the same. Your brain isn't lying to you out of malice. It's doing exactly what it was built to do, turning the past into a usable guess about the present as efficiently as possible. This is why two siblings can argue for 20 years about who broke the family lamp, both utterly certain, both remembering the moment in vivid, confident, sensory detail, right down to the sound of the glass hitting the floor. Confidence and accuracy feel like the same thing from the inside. They're not the same thing at all. A memory can feel 100% real, warm, specific, undeniable, and still be substantially wrong, because feeling real was never the test your brain was optimizing for. Usefulness was. Speed was. A workable story you could act on immediately mattered more than forensic precision about an event that had already ended. Stress makes this even more pronounced. Researchers studying memory during threatening situations have found that under high stress, attention narrows sharply onto whatever seems most dangerous in the moment, often a weapon, a raised voice, a sudden movement, while everything surrounding it, faces, clothing, the layout of the room, gets recorded far less reliably. And yet people remember the surrounding details with just as much confidence as the central threat itself. The brain isn't lying about how sure it feels. It's simply confident about the wrong things, because in a moment of real danger, confidence was never the point. Speed was. Deciding whether to run mattered infinitely more than remembering the wallpaper. Sleep complicates the picture further. Sleep researchers studying memory consolidation have found that memories aren't simply filed away untouched while you rest. During certain stages of sleep, the brain actively replays and reorganizes recent experiences, strengthening some connections and weakening others, sometimes blending fragments of unrelated memories together in the process. This is part of why dreams so often stitch real people into invented situations, familiar faces wearing unfamiliar events. And it means a memory examined the morning after a full night's sleep may already differ, in small but real ways, from the version you carried into bed the night before. Even doing nothing at all, simply sleeping, is enough to quietly reshape your own past. Memory doesn't just drift on its own, either. It drifts toward other people's memories, too. Researchers studying what's sometimes called social contagion of memory have found that when small groups discuss an event together, individual members will often absorb details that other people mentioned, even false ones planted by the researchers, and later report those details as their own original memories. You don't just remember your own past. You quietly borrow pieces of everyone else's version too. Every time you compare notes, and your brain sands down the seams until you can no longer tell which parts were ever yours to begin with. There's a modern twist to all of this that makes it even stranger than it already was. Every time you scroll through old photos or repost an old memory on social media with a new caption, you're not simply viewing your past. You're actively reconsolidating it, right there in that moment, on your phone, in a waiting room, half paying attention. The caption you write today, the joke you add for likes, the slightly exaggerated version of the story that gets a better reaction, can quietly become part of the memory you carry tomorrow. You are co-authoring your own history in real time, one scroll at a time, and you don't even know you're holding the pen. Even the act of taking a photo changes what you remember. Some researchers studying attention and memory have found that people who photograph an object or scene, rather than simply observing it, often remember fewer visual details afterward, not more, as if the camera quietly gave the brain permission to stop paying attention. The device meant to preserve the moment perfectly can end up hollowing out the very memory it was supposed to protect. So what do you do with a memory system this unstable, this quietly rewritable, this confident even when it's wrong? You start treating memory less like a mirror and more like a sketch. Useful, directionally true, good enough to navigate by, but never to be trusted as forensic evidence, even when the witness testifying is your own mind, speaking in your own voice with total conviction. This doesn't mean your memories are worthless. It means they were never meant to be museum pieces, sealed behind glass, untouched, preserved exactly as they were. They were meant to be tools, sharpened and reshaped every time you pick them up, so the lessons buried inside your past stay useful in a present that keeps changing around you. That first kiss you remember so vividly isn't a lie exactly. It's a living document, updated, quietly, without your permission, every single time you open it. You remember your first kiss perfectly, and that's exactly the problem.